Here to try and win, so I see what I can find overnight and see what we can do for tomorrow. I mean, it's impossible to overtake, so I think I'm probably going to finish P3. But if I can at least get George off the line or something, then that's probably the most I can hope for.
Thanks. Thank you.
Felt very good. I was a fair way up on the previous lap. I think I was probably a tenth and a half or 2/10 up.
This is the one.
And
let's see it.
then it goes almost horribly wrong.
Wow.
Hang
on.
It didn't look as dramatic as it felt, which is often the case. But
let's look at the opposite log here, Oscar, because
it was pretty sudden. So yeah, to be turning left in a right-hand corner is never a great thing, especially when you're doing however many hundreds of kilometers an hour you're doing at that corner.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're turning quite a bit left.
Yeah. So that was not good, and I don't know how much I lost, but it was a lot. It was like 2/10, I think. So find some more time through the rest of the lap, which was good.
The front end of the car seemed to go really nicely into turn 6, and you could see just open up the wheel.
A bit with that, but overall it was pretty good.
And then as we come through this middle part of the lap, you could obviously see your reference to what you'd done before. Yeah. Did you think that despite the issue at turn 4, this was going to be an improvement at this stage?
I think I was just about up, or pretty much even with my lap, and then some time back. So yeah, turn 14, which is the right-hander we just went through, was very close to flat out, which I think these 4 corners are 4 of the coolest corners we go through in F1, especially on a day like today where the grip's not quite as high as it will be later in the weekend, and those corners are still corners. Yeah, it's an awesome section of track. So,
and now the penultimate corner. I mean, we saw a lot of drivers having sort of snaps of oversteer there. What was it like? Was it wind affected?
Especially in practice, yes. We kind of had a nasty wind from the outside, which is never fun in an F1 car. It died down a bit for quali, so it was a bit more stable. And if you get it a little bit wrong, like you saw, I had a tiny correction, and it kicks off a load of understeer. So it's tricky to get it right around here. You've got a lot of long corners where if you just have a bit of a moment, you lose a lot of time. So I had one of those moments, and it didn't cost me quite enough, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Listen, thank you for stopping by. Your dad and Mark Webber were watching, not far from where we are, and it was a massive whoop. So I can tell you they were very happy with qualifying.
Good.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Love that. Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Well done, Kroon. Kroon, you're not finished.
No, I'm not finished. Sorry, I'm still here.
Carry on.
Shall I? I'll put the microphone down.
Get on with it.
Shall I show you the Lando thing again? Since I didn't get to finish that. So yeah, Lando got in that, and as I was saying before, he started his lap already at a slow speed. Look, he's still in second gear at this point, and he's sort of crawling around because he has to wait for Albon to go away. So he started his lap already on the back foot. As I said before, if you look at the reference there, Albon is well up in the rev range, 6th gear, coming past that last curb. Lando is not. He's just about there. Look, he's just gone into 6th, and it's only here, further down the straight, he gets to that same point. Similar Mercedes power unit, different drag levels, of course, but it just indicates how much slower he started the lap. So he's already on the back foot on the start-finish straight, and then he's in the dirty air. Although Alex, at this stage, you can see he's sort of going around the corner. We know from recent history with these current cars, anything up to 5 seconds, you're already in the dirty air. And that just ruins his last lap. He's just struggling for grip all the way around the last lap. So, unfortunately for Lando, just that positioning there didn't quite work out for him, and he didn't get to do that final attempt. Now I'll come back to you.
Good stuff. Well handled, Kroon. Good analysis, as always. Yeah, I mean, let's get into that. Obviously, it worked out for Oscar. Oscar's a bit of a specialist here in the sprint in Qatar. There's something about his driving style in this track that clearly clicks. I should actually go to you, Jamie, on this one first.
It does. I think historically these kind of circuits have seemed to suit him a little bit better. I think it's
Why
just
is that?
I think it's high speed, it's high grip, a lot of sort of long radius corners. He can carry a lot of minimum speed. I think it requires, ironically, it requires a lot of confidence to be in those positions. But equally, you then look at your sort of Vegases, Mexico, kind of low grip street tracks, so a lot of low speed corners, and those don't seem to suit him. Whether it's the fact that the balance of the car, he doesn't feel like he can get the most out of, whereas Lando has found something that suits him better, or whether it's just a driving preference thing. I think maybe the latter, but the good thing is even with a rough run of recent races, he's still able to come to a track like this turn it around and sort of take confidence from almost nowhere.
He had to, though, didn't he?
He had to. You know, the points deficit that there's at the minute, that 24 points, even with a good sprint tomorrow and even with a good race on Sunday, it's going to be hard to get enough out of that to feel really confident going into Abu Dhabi, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to go to Abu Dhabi for all these drivers to really see the showdown. But I think he will, you know, a few points tomorrow in the sprint, that'll settle him down after having not had such good races in the last few races, and then he should carry that confidence then from today into qualifying tomorrow. And that's where he's hoping that he can gain big points in the race.
Welcome back, Oscar, but welcome back, Yuki Tsunoda. By the way, the first time that Max Verstappen has been out-qualified by a teammate any format since Azerbaijan 2024. Let's hear from both of the Red Bull drivers. We'll start from 5th and 6th.
Yuki, you spoke at the start of the weekend about taking quite a few positives from Vegas despite what happened. That looked like quite a breakthrough for you today.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been I would say clean race weekend, pretty smooth. Nothing any issue happened in the practice and this qualifying so far. So yeah, something that I feel more confidence into the qualifying. Yeah. It's good. It's good that we had a clean race week so far.
Was that the key then today? Just simply having clean sessions, no dramas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just have to put it all together. There's 3 more sessions to go. But yeah, I'm sure, especially in this now, it's very important for the team, especially for Max. So, it's good that both of sides of the garage is very focused, and we try to give ourselves a maximum. Yeah, also for me as well, happy with the car and with my confidence. Obviously, there's some bit to go for tomorrow to find the extra little bit tense, but I'm excited.
Max, that looked like a real battle out there this evening. Heard your comments over the radio about the bouncing, the understeer, saw you going through the gravel. Talk us through that one from your side.
Yeah, not good. From the first lap, just really bad bouncing and very aggressive understeer that would shift into oversteer and high speed. So yeah, just not what you want to go faster. Then you're locked in, and we tried to, of course, change a few things on the wheel, but it never really worked. So yeah, that made it quite tricky.
Yeah, you said trying to change a few things in the moment there. What did you change on the car after FP1? And the result of that?
But it clearly wasn't working well in qualifying, so that's something that we need to understand.
And looking ahead to the sprint, obviously you're out there to get as many points as you can and close that gap. What's your thinking there and for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, but with this balance tomorrow in the sprint, at least it will not be a lot of fun. So it will be more about just trying to survive, I guess, and then make some changes going into qualifying.
Thanks, Max.
Turn, man, this is bouncing like an idiot.
Yeah, bouncing like an idiot. Well, it was McLaren last weekend, and it's Max there, and you can see the frustration. As we said, he needs a perfect weekend. This weekend, perfect weekend in Abu Dhabi to give himself a chance, and he hasn't got the balance right.
Yeah, 24 points is a reasonable amount to close in 2 race weekends with the form that Lando Norris is currently under. I'll try and speak a bit louder with the helicopter. The form that Lando Norris currently has, and he's starting behind, and that's not great. And not even just he's starting behind. It's not like he's starting behind because he made a mistake, but the car is quite good and he can probably gain positions through the sprint. If the car's like that in the sprint, he's possibly going backwards, because when you have an off like that, you're losing positions. So, yeah, there's a few things that he's not going to be confident. They're, I think, immediately going to be into looking at what can they do for qualifying tomorrow. What do they need to change? Because he can't have that car when he goes out in qualifying.
No, I mean, that last sprint, he started 6th as well. But actually, with regards to the championship, it could be, again, a reasonably big moment. If he doesn't score any there, again, the task just gets even greater.
Exactly, and I think the last sprint we saw an amazing recovery drive in the race in Brazil, but the whole weekend he had been chasing it, and actually he wasn't happy in practice. They turned the car potentially upside down, made a lot of changes, and it kind of got worse and worse and worse until they started in the pit lane for the race. So I think challenging. However, I do want to also say big well done to Yuki, because bless him, he kind of is internally very happy, but he knows bigger picture. The team aren't so happy with that qualifying session as a whole, so he doesn't feel like maybe he can celebrate, and it is just a sprint, but he should celebrate because that was a great turnaround for him.
Yeah, well, let's see. As I say, decisions to be made in the Red Bull family. Will Yuki be part of that next year? Well, it's had to wait for a while, but ahead of his teammate at long last. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll round up.
George, that looked like a great qualifying session for you. Did you know you had that pace in the car?
No, to be honest, I was P14 in practice. I know it's just nice. My qualifyings haven't been great recently. The last bar Singapore, for a while I haven't had a good session, so I was pretty happy to get a couple of good laps under my belt, and I was always sort of thereabouts throughout the session. So that was nice. This track honestly is such a joy to drive around. It's so quick, the grip's so high, so it just feels nice.
So with it being difficult to overtake around here, how confident are you of hanging on to that position or even getting into first tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't want to put a down on it, but sort of turn one is probably going to be where we end up, really. So we briefly spoke about it this morning in the driver's briefing about why the DRS hasn't been extended, and I hope maybe after the sprint they can adjust it if needed for the race, but it's going to be very... I think it will be challenging to overtake, but obviously we're in a good starting position, so yeah, we'll take it.
Thanks, George. Thank you.
Kimi, looked like a few tricky moments out there in that session. P7 at the end of it. Can you sum it up for us from your side?
Yeah, it was a bit of a messy qualifying on my side. I had a really big moment in SQ2 and kind of lost a little bit of confidence, obviously. But yeah, just didn't maximize the grip today. The potential was very high, and just I found myself always one step behind. So just need to work into the data to understand, and in order to be quicker tomorrow.
I know it's a challenge on these sprint weekends to get the car dialed in with just one practice session. Where does this leave you for the sprint tomorrow? And there is that opportunity, of course, afterwards to make some changes to the car.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, definitely, there's a lot of work to be done. I think, mainly I need to work on my driving because the car felt pretty good today. Just as I said before, didn't maximize the potential.
Let's just get on to what George was saying. There are a couple of overtaking opportunities here. Turn 6 and end of the main straight, right?
Yeah, a couple. It's tough because it's tough to follow closely, but on an opening lap, for example, turn 6, George has previously done a nice move into there. Does open opportunity. Also, it's easy to make mistakes. You see the gravel is very close, easy to run wide, lose a bit of momentum. That can promote an opportunity, but it is tough. And I think for a sprint race, for example, Max is right to be a little bit downbeat about his chances.
With the car that he's been given this year, George Russell, I mean, he is in the running. Take, whoever wins the World Championship out of things. He's got to be a contender for driver of the season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's been consistent throughout the year, and I think that's George's strength, really. And you heard him there saying about not having the best qualify in the last few races. He's been able to get the most out of the car in those races, and he will be happy with that result after having, Kimi Antonelli's arguably pushed him very, very hard in the last few. So a fantastic lap for George. I don't think any of us really seen P2 coming for him there, but over the year he's been able to pick up points again and again and again, just consistently get the most out of it, and that's why he's fourth in the Drivers' Championship, and that's why a team like Mercedes really benefits from having someone of his experience that week in, week out can improve the car, and it will build it'll build for next year, it'll build into the new regulations.
Talking of experience, we were expecting Fernando Alonso to be a good round here with the characteristics of that Aston Martin, and he was. Never lets you down when he's got the car. Fourth for him.
Fernando, what an effort. P4 at the end of that. You must be pretty happy with that showing.
Yeah, definitely. I think, one of the best results of the year. Tough circuit, high speed section, and the car seemed in the window already in FP1, P3, and now in quali felt good as well. I had a bit of a stress in SQ2 because traffic and things, but we made it into Q3, and then in Q3, we put a lap together.
You touched on it there, and we've spoken about it at previous sprint weekends. You really do tend to hit the ground running at these ones. What's your thinking for the sprint tomorrow? And then there is that window between, obviously, where car changes can be made.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 24 years experience, 44-year-old. It has some disadvantage. I get a little more tired with the jet lag and the traveling, but I know the tracks, I know the tires, I know the car, I know how to extract everything on Friday. Then on Saturday, it's true that we can open the part for me. We do change the car a little bit, minor tweaks, and yeah, everyone seems to get on top of the circuit. But yeah, let's see. Let's go one step at a time. Let's do tomorrow the sprint race, and then into quali. Let's see if we can improve a little bit the setup, a little bit on the understeering side today.
Well done, Adrian. That's
managed to tune it up slightly, and he did the rest.
And what do you think's possible in the sprint race? The team needs the points. That's obvious.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, our Dagger's traditionally been a bit worse than others. So, if he can, I think we'll all be delighted if he can hold that fourth.
Okay. And of course, finally, we had the news earlier in the week that from 2026, you're going to be the boss. Team principal, you're already managing partner, so maybe, I mean, does much change? How do you see it? How do you see it working with being team principal, a job amongst many in Formula One that you've never actually specifically held before?
No, I mean, to be perfectly honest, you know, it became very evident that with the challenge of the 26 PU, then Andy's skill set in terms of helping the three-way relationship between Honda, Aramco and ourselves is absolutely his skill set. So he very magnanimously volunteered to be heavily involved in that through the first pass of 26. That left a kind of, okay, well, who's going to be TP? And since I'm going to be doing all the early races anyway, it doesn't actually particularly change my workload because I'm there anyway, so I may as well pick up that bit, other than, of course, having to talk to you.
Well, that's you might say the downside. You can always decline an interview. That's fine. Many TPs have done that in the past. But it's something you're looking forward to, whether it changes things or not. A different role maybe for you. Looking forward to a wider breadth, or will you still be able just to focus down, to keep a laser focus on the design and the development of the car?
That's really what I want to and need to do. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. So I'm determined not to dilute that.
Okay, very good. Fewer interviews, more design work. Thank you, Adrian.
Damn, I was looking forward to interviewing Adrian, but I'm sure he will. He'll pop up. But a name is a name, right? We know what Adrian's strengths are. He's the greatest of all time in that role. Kind of does make sense. If Andy Cowell, I mean, that's what he did at Mercedes. That's what he did with HPP. So, you know, whatever that is, the strategy officer, I think that's his new title. But Adrian can handle this, can't he?
Well, yeah, you sort of wonder what all the other team principals are doing when if they're not designing cars. Maybe they're just having more cups of tea. I'm not sure.
The brain his size,
exactly,
he can handle it, yeah.
But it's good to hear him say that he's going to still be focusing on the design effort of the car, because I think that's definitely what Aston Martin need. That's what's been lacking. You know, I can imagine that the relationship between Aston Martin, Honda and Aramco does need a lot of management there. You've got a lot of integration of those parts, components into the car to make it work well, and that definitely historically has been Andy Cowell's strength. So maybe it does make logical sense, but let's see how it progresses beyond the 6 months that Adrian's saying he was intending to be at the track anyway.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of extremely capable people though at Aston Martin.
That's it.
And you, I mean, obviously you were capable when you were there as well.
Since I've left, it's got more capable. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Could still go back.
No, but there's loads, aren't there? And that's the whole point. It's like fit them all in, the jigsaw puzzle. Sorry, Bernie, but yes, the jigsaw puzzle is difficult to move around.
That's it. It's like a chessboard, and it's having all the right pieces in the right place. Adrian Newey is a designer, absolutely, for sure. As a team principal is an unknown, but I think it's finding that kind of hybrid team principal role where he has still got the capacity to do everything on a design front. He's not stretched in any other way. I think what will be interesting is if performance is there next year, there's going to be a lot of pressure on the team principal when it goes either right or wrong. Suddenly the buck stops with that person. So if Adrian has to take that weight as well as the weight of, you know, the design of the car, I think that could become a lot. But equally, I think it's exciting. It's interesting the amount of great people, and of course Fernando Alonso going for his 3rd world title in that team's going to be awesome.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'd all love to see that. What's possible, do you think, for tomorrow for Fernando?
Yeah, Fernando's going to be, can he keep the Verstappen, Tsunoda behind him, Antonelli? Those are the cars. I think Verstappen maybe with the balance issues would be okay, but Fernando might end up doing a bit more management, which is possible here, and holding the cars behind him, and that gap opening a little bit to the cars in front, but he'll definitely be looking to hold on to position.
OK, let's finish with Lewis. Another bad day at the office for the 7-time world champion. Only the Alpines behind him, and he will start the sprint from 18th. Let's just have a look and a listen to that interview he gave earlier to Rachel.
Hi, Lewis. Can you just tell me how tricky the car was to drive out there today?
Same as always.
You tried the higher downforce wing. No better for you at all in that session?
No, clearly not.
Anything positive you can take into tomorrow? Will it be a bit of a testing session for you, the sprint race, do you feel?
The weather's nice.
Sorry,
the weather's nice.
Well, I hope tomorrow's better. Thanks, Lewis. Thanks.
Cheers.
Just gritting his teeth through every single interview, isn't he, at the moment? He doesn't want to give too much away because we know what happens when he does, so he's trying to say as little as possible when he's not getting the performance out of the car himself.
That's a tough gig for Rachel, isn't it, to try and get some information out of him, and it's disappointing to see him so down, but you know, that performance today, obviously he's not going to be happy with. I think there was an interview with Fred earlier on in the weekend to say no driver, no team are happy finishing so far back in the points. Not a team of Ferrari and Lewis's stature. So what has gone wrong? Is it the changes between P1 and sprint qualifying today? You know, in P1 they weren't happy either. So why is that Ferrari? Why can it work some weeks and not some other weeks?
I think the only thing I kind of noticed as maybe a bit of a trend is if you get knocked out in Q1, which has been amazingly the case in a few recent races for Lewis, you don't find a way to drive around the car. You don't find a way to feel the balance and get the most out of it. And the margins are so small. Lewis was, I think, 8 tenths off, which, okay, is still quite a lot of lap time. But as an example, in Q3 in the end, it was 7 tenths between the top 10. So just a couple of tenths, he would have scraped through. Then you get another couple of runs. Then you find a way to sort of drive around it. That's what I think Charles is able to do at the moment, to get a little bit more out of it and find his way up the grid a bit more. It's still not great. It's still not top 3 or even top 5, but it's not P18. And I think that's part of where maybe it's starting to go a bit wrong for Lewis.
Okay, final one on tomorrow. Well, Max, the exciting thing is we've got Max in an unbalanced car that needs to try to get ahead of both McLarens. Oscar can try and make a dent in that lead that Lando has at the moment. So a good opportunity tomorrow for the Australian.
Yes, I think so. I think he's got to feel very confident going into tomorrow. He has that position. He knows that Norris is not going to take maybe as much risk with Russell as he might do if it was Verstappen. And he knows that Russell's going to be trying to prove that he has the pace as well. He showed good pace in that qualifying session. No reason he can't hold on to that.
Completely agree. I'm super excited for Oscar. He seems to have a bit of a spring in his step after that. I think that's very important. That's an extra half a tenth maybe. So it's important. You know, he can't, even if he wins everything and Lando finishes second, it's not enough, but he needs to win everything. So that's what he's going to do. And he's already done one of the steps today, and look forward to tomorrow for him.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Bernie. Thanks to you at home. We'll be back with the sprint, as you can see, from 1 o'clock. Qualifying gets underway from 5:15.